In our Africa focus today, we turn to Mozambique, where the recent detention of 42 Nigerian nationals during a security raid has sparked outrage and accusations of xenophobia. Nigeria's government has demanded the immediate release of its citizens, while the situation has raised broader questions around migration, security, and human rights in southern Africa. Joining us from Maputo this morning is Prof. Adriano Nuvunga, a leading scholar and human rights defender, to unpack the facts and shed light on what this incident tells us about the treatment of migrants and the political climate of the region. Prof. Nuvunga, thank you for speaking to News and Views this morning. Can we dive straight in? Will you outline for us what exactly happened in Mozambique and why were only Nigerian nationals detained during the security operation?
Good morning, and thank you for having me this morning. I'm speaking from Maputo. It's a rainy day. Now, straight to the matter, 42 Nigerian citizens have been illegally detained over the past 2 weeks now. They were detained on the 28th of February, and they are in a special prison in Maputo. This group of people, they were detained in a police operation arguably aimed at dismantling the networks of those who steal car parts. That's where these places where car parts, second-hand car parts are sold, and police have been claiming that those who steal these car parts, they sell them to this group of vendors in the suburbs of Maputo. So police went there and detained these citizens, again, accused of selling stolen car parts. The detention, as you have rightly pointed out, it's an illegal detention. It's illegal because as per the law here in Mozambique, nobody can be detained without a warrant. And it's a collective, 42 people detained, incarcerated at a place where we have no access to it because it is not an ordinary prison and not a police station. And one of the blatant violations here is, the right to be brought before a judge as per the law, which says that 48 hours after detention, an individual has to be brought to the judge, either to legalize or allow the person to pay a bail. But these people have been denied that possibility. So it's a clearly illegal detention, and also the violation of the right to a due process. So you cannot only have a due process if your detention is legalized by judge, you are brought to a judge. Because that has not yet happened, this means that these people, they are being denied that to have a fair trial. So this is what is happening. And yesterday, the families of these African citizens of Nigerian origin, they went to protest in front of the Nigerian consulate here in Maputo. Their protest is because they are not happy with how the Nigerian authorities here in Mozambique are handling the matter. They see no action. They see no diligence being made by the Nigerian representatives, hence them going there to protest. And we were there to give voice for these people. And now, as a human rights organization, we are in the field to visit them to make sure that they have the minimum conditions established by law for those who are detained. But in the meantime, and importantly here, to make a submission for a habeas corpus so that they could be released under certain conditions.
Prof, I want to just pick up on a point you made. So following the protests outside was it the consulate you said yesterday, the Nigerian consulate? What impact does this whole incident have on Nigeria-Mozambique relations? And more broadly, I think, we always hearing incidents of xenophobia, Afrophobia. South Africa, we are not proud of the incidents that we experience on the daily of, Africans turning on Africans. What kind of perception of African solidarity on the continent does an incident like this give rise to?
This is not the Africa we want. It goes against the African Union vision for the Africa that we are building. Mozambique has been welcoming all Africans, including Nigerian. There is a wide Nigerian community here in Mozambique. But from time to time, we see some form of extortion. So it is more like a police-driven extortion to this group of people. Some of them, they are successful business people, small vendors, etc. And they tend to be victims of this sort of extortion. So it is not as a xenophobia sentiment against Nigerians, against African. It is more a police-driven tendency to extort those who are in businesses, especially foreigners, for the sake really of obtaining bribes. If that is not happening, then they are harassed the way that we see happening now. So it is more a sort of harassment by the police rather than a xenophobic sentiment by the Mozambican population.
I think that's such an important distinction to make then, Prof. Thank you for drawing that line for us. We're going into the last 2 minutes of the interview. I want to just know from you, can you frame for our listeners outside of Mozambique, even though we're neighboring countries over here in South Africa, sometimes we don't understand everything that's going on in our neighbor. What do we need to understand about the social and political pressures driving the situation that may not be appearing in the headlines? And I think you can pick up on the corruption element maybe that you've just explored with us.
10 years ago, Mozambique was a booming economy, and the state had money, including to pay its civil servants, especially the various branches of the police. But Mozambique is in a dire situation. Mozambique is a collapsing state in terms of money to pay civil servants, especially to pay the police. So it is this nuance that is driving this tendency of extortion vis-a-vis foreigners. So it's a collapsing state where those who have authority and they have a mandate from the police, they can go and harass people to benefit from their position. So it is a more corruption-driven tendency rather than again, a sentiment of the Mozambican population, which has been welcoming foreigners, including Nigerians.
Absolutely. Prof, we want to go for a quick ad break, and then let's come back and pick up on this conversation. I think we're drawing some important threads here. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Right now, over 150 million children around the world are orphaned, facing hunger, hardship, and uncertainty. With Islamic Relief's Orphan Sponsorship Program, you can provide a child with access to education, nutritious food, essential healthcare, and a safe home. Your sponsorship is not just support, it's hope, security, and a brighter future. Be the reason an orphan child smiles again. Sponsor an orphan today with Islamic Relief.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic, Sharia, and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Elite Basmati, available throughout the Middle East, and now for the very first time exclusive to South Africa. Brought to you by Murchison Spice, Peter Marisburg's most famous specialty store. Elite Basmati, available in aromatic white and golden cellar, is packaged in a world-class facility in India and is filled with wholesome goodness for your well-being. Elite Basmati rice by Murchison Spice. For trade inquiries, contact Mohammed on 033 387 2121. Murchison Spice.
You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this Ramadan.
If you're just joining us, welcome back. On the line with us, we have Prof. Adriano Nuvunga from Maputo, a leading scholar and human rights defender, to unpack the situation of the detention of 42 Nigerian nationals in Mozambique. So, Prof, just before the ad break, you were giving us some context around the state capture, if I can put it that way, of Mozambique and the elements that the trickle-down elements that comprise the way that it then gives rise to corruption and incidents like this one. I want to bring the conversation back to this particular incident. You mentioned the protests yesterday, and you mentioned that these detainees have been kept since the 28th of February, so going on almost 2 weeks now. What are their legal rights under Mozambican and international law, and would you say the Mozambican government is respecting these rights?
No. The answer is no. The Mozambican government is disrespecting its own laws, including the Constitution of the Republic, which clearly points out for the need for each individual that is detained to have access to a lawyer, number one. Number two, be brought to the judge. Is also violating its own law in terms of the right to a due process. But it's violating, more importantly, the international laws that the Mozambican has adhered to. And again, the fact that these Africans of Nigerian origin, they are detained in a special prison, not in a police station, not in a regular prison, it tells you of the nature or of the drivers of these arbitrary and illegal detention. And again, it is meant to extort these people. It is driven by a motive to force these people to pay. And if they were to pay the state, there should be a due process so that they pay a bail. But the fact that there is no a process, they are not brought to a judge, it is to force them to give something for those who control the institution of the police. And again, they were detained, accused of selling illegal second-hand car parts. But there is no any sort of proof that these parts are not legal, that they were stolen from cars. So you just identify a group of people that are believed to have money and have the possibility to bribe so that they can be pushed against that. But the fact that they're not paying is what, in our view, it sustains them to be kept in prison.
And has there been any response from the international community around this matter?
No. We have started the day before yesterday to bring the matter to the public light. People have been incited to what was happening. As of yesterday, with our broadcast of the protests, and today we are going to the prison to visit them and also to file a habeas corpus application. We are starting to see a bit of solidarity domestically and regionally from diaspora communities, but from international human rights architecture, we haven't seen any sort of movement.
And I know, Prof, earlier, you were saying that incidents like this, Africans against Africans, it goes against the African Union vision of what Africa should look like and how we move forward as a formidable global force. What role should regional bodies like the African Union play in protecting the rights of Africans in other African countries in a situation like this, in your opinion?
No, again, it goes against the African Union vision. It goes against the SADC vision of a free movement Africa, where investment, it has to mainly be African investment in our continent. So when you see small scale investors from other parts of Africa coming to our parts of Africa, being harassed the way this group is being harassed, is sending a wrong message. And I think that the African human rights architecture, including African human rights African human rights commissions, in their collective, they should have already come forth and issue a statement, condemn this illegal detention, and push for their immediate release, because clearly their detention is illegal. But we see silence, which is also not something positive, because African diaspora community within our continent, they need to see that human rights institutions of the continent, of the sub-regions, they are active, they are proactive when incidents of human rights abuses and violations occur. But this silence is sending the wrong message.
No, Prof, I can't agree more with you. And I think, something else I don't want to get lost in this conversation is the very important distinction you made between the fact that this is corruption, this is an extortionist situation. It's not necessarily a case of pure xenophobia. And I want to just understand from you, for our listeners, is there xenophobic sentiment at all in Mozambique, or is this an isolated case?
This, again, it is an extortion-driven case, not any sorts of sentiments. I mean, you go everywhere. Here in Maputo, you go everywhere across the country. You have a strong Nigerian community involved in selling goods for food and many more goods that Nigerians are good at in terms of trade and investment. And we haven't seen any sort of any kind of sentiment of xenophobic nature. We haven't seen that. Again, this is something orchestrated by the police institution to extort these people. This distinction, it has to be clearly made. Mozambicans, by nature, from Cabo Delgado to Maputo, because we are at the sea, we are sea people. This nation is also a product of traders coming from all sorts of parts of the globe. So Mozambique has since been a welcoming nation, open to any African of any kind of origin. So this, it is something, again, that needs to be singled out as driven by extortionist police institution, which is corrupt and needs to be addressed. And what we are doing now is to engage the justice institutions to make sure that these Africans of Nigerian origin, they have access to justice, a timely justice that can restore their rights of circulating and doing business here in Mozambique.
Prof, just before I let you go, can I ask you, what message would you like to send to the 42 detained Nigerians?
The number one message is that they are not alone. And solidarity is our key currency. So we are here with them. We stand by them. And as a human rights organization, we are not only filing the process, but we'll be visiting them today to make sure that their rights are being observed by those who are detaining them. And simultaneously, we are mobilizing African, regional, and continental solidarity so that the people are aware of what is happening and they can help step up to push the Mozambican authorities to let them go.
Prof. Adriano Nuvunga, joining us from Maputo this morning. Thank you so much for your insights, and thank you for your advocacy work as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll have a quick ad break and then we'll be back.